Right, how do you know when to start a group practice, whether you're ready for it, whether you want to do it, whether it's worth it? You're a solo practitioner now, you've been thinking about it. Should I do it? Should I grow? Will it help me? Will I make more money? Is it hard? Is it worth it? There are so many questions. And in today's video, as someone who's done it myself, I wanted to give you a behind the scenes peek, a look at how you know whether or not starting group practice is worthwhile, something you should do. I really just wanted to, because it's not an easy decision. You know, it's not simple. But without further ado, let's jump in as always to the behind the scenes here. I'm going to give you a look at my notes. We'll actually just go through all this together. Okay, from solo to group practice, when to scale and how to do it. What a title, right? All right, let's just go through it. So. The first thing that I usually see is people curious about starting a group practice, okay? And usually they're kind of thinking, you know, oh, I'm full. Maybe I need to hire someone else and expand, you know, or, you know, maybe they're thinking, I'm getting burnt out. I need to diversify my practice, or maybe they think, well, it's pretty easy. I'll just hire someone and, you know, I'll make extra money and that kind of thing. And then other people are, you know, I really want to start a business. I really want this to take off. And I want this to be more than just a solo practice. They're very kind of entrepreneurial. They're thinking about business and all that kind of stuff. But whatever the case may be, there's really no right or wrong in terms of starting it, right? I think there's a variety of reasons why you might want to, but that's usually what I see people talking about, right, or asking. And I usually see people thinking that it might be easier than it actually is. It seems like a very easy solution to a good problem, meaning you have referrals, you're getting filled up, and I just need to hire someone. Oh, that'll be great. I'll make extra money. It's not that easy. It's not that simple. And so today, I'm not trying to be a downer, but I'm trying to be realistic. I have started a group practice. I do not regret it. I really like that I've done it. I like running my group practice. But in doing so, I've realized the excitement, like the what I thought was was going to be really easy, was not. And so I just want to give you the realistic behind the scenes. Okay, so the first thing we actually have to kind of talk about is the reality of starting a group practice. Okay, this is actually the blog post. You'll be able to read this later on, but let me just kind of give you a behind the scenes. Okay, where should we jump in? Let's actually just start with the pros, all right? I just did the intro there. Let's start with the pros of a group practice, all right? So number one, it's true. The increased earning potential is there. And this makes sense on a practical level, right? If you're a solo practitioner, you can maybe max out at what, 30 clients? That's already a lot, but there's a limit to how many you can see, right? And once you hit that limit, right, you can raise your rates, but there's a limit to that too. But you're fairly limited as an individual practitioner. So that's number one. Okay, there is that ability to earn more money. There's more variety in your work. So when you're starting a group practice, right, you're probably going to supervise, you're going to do admin tasks, HR, back-end stuff, right? So you're now diversifying what you do. And for some people, they really like that. There's eventually going to be greater flexibility, meaning you're not necessarily tied to one-on-one or therapy sessions as your main source of income, right? So as you build your practice, your job now becomes filling other therapists, supervising other therapists. And so you have a little bit more flexibility in terms of your time, right? So that's another benefit as well. And a huge benefit that I think is overlooked is new skills and professional growth. So as you grow or you start your group practice, you're going to be learning a whole bunch of skills, whether it be marketing or HR, or whatever the case may be. And these are going to be skills that you can then use to market yourself later on down the line, especially if your group practice works, right? So you're going to acquire a lot of new skills and things like that. That's some of the pros. I think that's some of the major pros. What are some of the cons? Number one, it's a lot of work. It's not easy. It's not as simple as hiring someone and then filling them up, okay? Hiring someone, onboarding them, all that stuff, it's a lot of work. Now, let me give you an example. So sometimes people think, well, yeah, I'm getting referrals from psychology today. If I hire someone, I'll just pass those referrals on. People are calling to see you. Now, when someone calls you to see you and you're saying, well, I'm not available, but my colleague is or my staff is, that's not easy to do, right? Because again, that person's calling to see you. So now right? It's not what you think. They're not going to be like, oh, okay, that sounds great. Some people will, but most won't. So now our job is now filling up other therapists and maybe building a brand for your group practice. Nonetheless, it's a lot of work, okay? That leads into kind of this other con, which is you're responsible for other people's caseload. Now, maybe a con is not the way to describe that, but I say that part because it tends to be a pain point for people. It's a little bit challenging. And especially if you're hiring people, you're most likely sharing with them that you'll do the marketing, you'll do the back end stuff. So now you're responsible for getting leads and referrals and filling them up. This is how most of the group practices operate that I'm aware of. Right, one of the benefits of joining the group practice is that you don't have to do your own marketing. I know some do that, where they hire people and they do their marketing. But again, you're now going to take responsibility for other people's caseload. Okay, which also kind of leads into my third con, which is less control over quality. What do I mean by this? When it's just you in a practice, right? It's you doing all the work. You're communicating with the client. You're doing the clinical work. You're doing the back end work. You're doing all of this stuff. So you can really control the quality. Now, when you bring someone into your practice, or someone sees you, they come in as a client to your practice, and they see one of your colleagues or your staff that you hired, right? You're hiring. You want to hire well, which again is another challenge. But you're not in the session with them, right? You are not managing everything, so you lose control in that regard. Not a bad thing, but it's something that people don't necessarily think about, okay? And sometimes you have to address this issue, as it comes up. And just generally speaking, we have more to manage. Also, there's a jackhammer or a buzzsaw, and they might be cutting the building down next to me. Who knows? More to manage, right? So now we're not just managing our own caseload or our own clients, but we are managing other people's caseloads, their clients perhaps, in terms of intake. Maybe you're managing the intake paperwork, maybe you're managing the billing. There's going to be things you're managing that you were not doing before. If we want to put that it kind of ties to the first one. It's just more work, okay? And again, sometimes that also ties into the benefit, which is you have diversifying your practice, the things you get to do. These are some of the cons. Now, again, pros and cons makes it very binary. It's not like this. I think these things are a little bit more nuanced than that, but just generally speaking, for the sake of this video, this is kind of what I see people looking forward to, and then some of the things that they didn't expect that were more challenging, or I've kind of put under the cons section. How do we know we're ready? Okay, number one, and I think I have, we'll start with number three. You understand the long game, meaning you're not jumping into group practice naive, thinking it's going to be easy. Hopefully this video helps you with that. I think number one, we kind of want to break that expectation. It's a real worthwhile endeavor. It's fun. It's not for everyone. It is challenging. But the people who are aware that it's not easy are usually more equipped to start managing the roadblocks that come up and the different pain points. This video is large in part to kind of do that, right? To make sure you understand what starting a group practice is all about. Why don't we just go backwards then? Let's go to number two. You have time or flexibility to take on more. What do I mean by this? Like I said, you're now going to be doing all sorts of things. You're going to be hiring people. You're going to be onboarding people. You're going to be figuring out how to market people, this kind of thing. So that's either going to require you, number one, to increase the time you spend working in addition to your full caseload. If you have a caseload, right? You're either adding more time because you have things to do, or you are able to not see as many people and be flexible with your time and maybe reduce how much you earn. So I kind of see it like if we want to kind of maintain our current caseload but still build a group practice, you're going to have to stack on more time, right, to learn. Or you're saying I can dip a little bit while I start things up, so I'll see less clients, but I'll spend more time working on the group practice. Again, that's where we might see a little dip in our earnings, right? And as we work on a group practice, it's not like we work on a group practice and all of a sudden we're earning much more than we were before. It's a long game. It's not easy, okay? Your earning does not start to go up for a long time, right, for most people. And then I think the most obvious one is, and this doesn't have to be required. I've seen people start right off the bat with a group practice and it's fine. But I'd say for most people who are contacting me, their caseload is full, meaning they've learned kind of their own workflows, their own systems. They know how to get clients for themselves. I think this is a good indicator that you're ready to consider the next step if you want. Again, is that required? It's not. but people who are kind of experienced with their own caseload have a better idea of, how to fill a caseload or what's required there. And again, at this point, you're turning people away, right? So logically, if you do want to start a group practice, that's a good time to do it. Okay, so at the end of all this, I hope you don't feel discouraged. This really is to be more realistic, but here's the good news. I think it's worth it. I think if you're able to do it and you want to do it and you're aware that it's not the easiest thing, it's rewarding, it is good, and it's definitely worthwhile. And again, if it's not for you and you're thinking, hey, maybe that's too much work or I'd rather spend my time, so that's also okay, right? But hopefully this video is something that you found helpful. Hopefully you learned something. And until next time, I'll see you in the next video.